you down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Down with OTC. Down with OTC.
So the most important question of the day is whether or not you are down with OTC, because that's all we want to know. Then we can wrap it and everybody can go about their business for this weekend. Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff. You're here on the HODL review this early Saturday morning. It is now 8:06 a.m. on the Eastern Standard Time. And sorry for the brief delay, but the espresso hadn't been done yet. So I had to wait a couple extra minutes. But you know what's most important here, before we get into talking about digital assets, cryptocurrency, XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Binance Coin, and all the other host of digital assets. And we do want to look at this and really reflect on whether or not the digital assets of cryptocurrencies are indeed a national security threat, or are they a boon on the financial space for the people? Is this the most amazing asset class ever formed? Can it be measured in the quadrillions of dollars? I think that's something we definitely have to discuss. But more important than that is whether or not you got your daily dose of coffee, because if you have your daily dose of coffee, then everything else makes a heck of a lot of sense. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do that again. Nah, just kidding. All right. Hey, just big shout out to Metho. He threw in that super sticker before we got going. What is up? Thank you for that one, Mitho. Appreciate the support. Appreciate all of you guys being here bright and early, wherever you're tuning in from. Now, if you're from the West Coast, give us a shout out. If you're tuning in from California or somewhere on Pacific time and it's 5 a.m., man, all the power to you. That's awesome. Today, man, it's a special day because we've got Segfredo. Now, if you guys have got the Segfredo yet, I've talked about it before, early mornings, you get the red bag. You got to go to the Segfredo website and they get you the red bag of the dark roast espresso. Well, this one, I didn't bring the bag out. I should bring the bag out here, but I've got the black bag, and that is the best Segfredo that you can get, hands down. Thing is, you can't get it in the US, so I had to have it flown in. A buddy of mine came in and he brought me a bag of the black Segfredo that is only available for a commercial sale. Outstanding, man. This is the best. So hang on. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. The Segfredo is just amazing. Robert Morris has got the Death Wish. Man, the Death Wish is good too. We like the Death Wish coffee. That one, more caffeine, man, it's outstanding. So let's see. You've got try the Napoli blend from Nespresso. Then you got to get that little Nespresso pot and all of that. So, man, we should. You know what? We should do a giveaway for a bag of coffee. That's a great idea. I think we need to orchestrate that. Maybe we'll do it either on our live show, do it at a meetup. But that's really a very cool idea. We're going to change the name of the entire channel to Coffee Time. And this is the Coffee Time segment with Jeff. You get a Coffee Time segment with Chip. So, Colombiana. So, anyhow, all right, what do we got going here today? Somebody brought up the fact that XRP is at $1.17. So, I had to pull up the CoinGecko, and the whole space is running. Things are happening. There's movement. Even Ethereum is now at 2,100. Man, so it's an exciting day. It's an exciting morning. Let's pull it up here. Let's see what we can do to I got to share it. Let's see what we can do to reflect a little bit on the market. So this is a good place to start before we really dig into it, because one of the things I want to talk about is whether or not digital assets, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, XRP, and all the others are in fact a national security threat. And that's going to be really interesting. So, man, look at that. I like that. And no milk or sugar. Man, that's right, man. No milk, no sugar, no tea. You got to go straight to the espresso. And when you make your coffee, make sure you can't see through it. You know, if you're drinking drip coffee, it's just maybe just another version of water. Just has a little brown color into it. But man, all right. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, all right, let's get into this. Let's get into the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin, 7 days up 2.5%. Ethereum, 7 days, 1.3%. The Binance coin, please somebody tell me what the use case is. Why is it $485? Why is BNB $485? Why is it going to be $500 soon? I don't know. And I'm kicking myself now, and I'm sure many of us are, for not buying it when it was $10 and $12. Holy crap. It's up 44% with a 24-hour volume of 7.8 million. I don't get it. I really don't get it. You know, with that volume, with that price point, why is the volume, so relatively low? Wait a minute. No, it's more than what am I looking at? 7 billion, 7.8 billion. What am I? My screen. I wasn't looking at it properly over here. Okay, never mind. Forget what I just said. 7.8 billion. But anyhow, 44% in the last 7 days. XRP, this is what we want to focus in. Let's zoom in on this one. Okay, there's been a clear separation between the XRP and the SEC case against Ripple. And this is, proof positive. As you get into it, it's proof positive that the case, or that Ripple and XRP are separate entities. Because if they weren't, even a little positive news on the case would not move XRP to where it's at, especially when it was at 20 cents. Now, negative news, the FUD that was spread on the XRP definitely pushed it to not all time lows, but temporary lows when it was at 60 cents, but it's climbed its way back up. And if you look at that in the past 7 days, a 92% increase in the past seven days. In past 24 hours, up by 14%. I think that's really big news. We're starting to see XRP move in a direction where it's going to go to 2. It's not then far off from 3. So as the space is generating and the excitement is growing, man, it's really phenomenal to see this, And now, can it pull back? Can we see the entire market? And this is one of the things that was brought up. I know Chip and I talked about it. There's some articles that have alluded to, can this be an exact duplicate of what happened in 2018? So in that 2017, 2018 momentum, the hype, the FOMO, all of that pushed everything up. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there on this precipice. And on the other side of the precipice, because of the fast ramp up, the other side was a long way down. And that's exactly what happened. We rode the entire market from these all-time highs to, almost all-time lows, so that's, can that happen again? The market can pull back, but we're in a completely different position right now in the market than I think it's ever been in. And one of those points with this market is the fact that we're starting to see real world, not just utility, but real world investment from Main Street, from the financial institutions, from the banking space, from corporate, whether it's corporate America, corporate, elsewhere, that are looking at digital assets, whether it's Bitcoin or others, but they're looking at it as a place to protect the valuation of their money, as a store of value. So this is very, very significant. Plus, we're starting to see this movement towards enterprise adoption of the digital asset space, of the blockchain, and of the crypto. So that's what we're going to get into as well today. So let's see what we have here. So blockchain backer is saying roughly $10 XRP. I don't see why not. And what period of time is that going to happen? How fast can it happen? When is it going to happen? I mean, it does seem like it's definitely viable to be a $10 XRP, being that we're seeing it at $1. We know that in 18, it was over $3, almost $4. If Binance coin is $485 right now, if Polkadot is $41, if Cardano is $1.23, if Uniswap is sitting at 30, and Chainlink over here at 32.5, why not? If people are talking about Bitcoin being 150,000 to a million, maybe 400,000, no, who knows? But by end of year, they're talking about these big numbers for Bitcoin. That means that the entire market is going to shift in that same positive direction, regardless. If Bitcoin pulls back to 20,000, the whole market potentially is going to shift backwards as well. Now, why? It's because the whole market is still tied together, ebb and flow. So that would be like saying, in the, if you go to the stock market, if one major stock is pulling way back without negative attributes specifically to that company, then the whole market is in flux. So like we've seen, over the past, couple weeks, we've seen a lot of red in the stock market because you have the ebb and flow of the financial sector, of the financial space, and the economics. If you look at economics, curves, you always see an ebb and flow in the economies because you have a positive increase and you always have a pullback in national economies. And that's just natural. It's the cycle. There's a financial cycle. So even with this, there's always going to be, there's going to be increased gains and there's going to be pullbacks. Those are natural. What we want to make sure that we avoid and hopefully avoid, and we really don't have power over that, is the catastrophic pullback, because those can last, extended periods of time. Now, if we go back to 2018, this is just all my own opinion, just from observation of how the world works. But if you go back to 2018, when you had the massive FOMO up, on the other downside, when things start tanking, who comes out of the closet there? You have all the fudsters coming out, beating up on the space, whether it's stock, whether it's business, whatever it is. You've got the FUD. And then when you get a little bit of an increase, a little momentum, you get the FOMO. What's different about this market right now is the interest garnered from across the board to Main Street. And that to me is the most interesting, because you have people now that are coming out and saying, whoa, XRP is over $1. Tell me how I can get in. What? Bitcoin is at $60,000. Tell me about, how do I invest in Bitcoin? Tell me about it. It's like, well, where were you a couple years ago when Bitcoin, or, a couple months ago, even when Bitcoin was 10,000 or 20,000? Why now? Why is it now that Main Street is getting excited? It's because it's putting up all-time highs and the market keeps moving forward. And we're starting to see the financial institutions and some of the big corporations that are saying, hey, this is legit. And we're putting billions of dollars there. So then Main Street investors, who are typically, depending on how you judge the market, the last ones that get the opportunity to invest in things. Now, in this scenario, Main Street really had the opportunity before anybody to invest in digital assets. There's just a knowledge perspective. There's whether you knew about it or didn't know about it. Then in that knowledge perspective, you also have, education. Were you educated enough? Was it easy enough? What was the difficulty level of accessing and buying a digital asset? That would definitely hold a lot of Main Street out of, and also the scare aspect of it, which is it's scary. You get into Bitcoin. Oh my God, that's digital money. What happens if it goes away? I'm going to lose all my money. But now there's a level of legitimacy that's been attributed to it, mainly because of Elon Musk and MicroStrategies, Michael Saylor, and others, as well as the news. And that's what we saw back in 17, 18. The news FOMO'd people into it. Just like the Kramer show on whichever news channel that is, that he has his financial show, his stock show. They FOMO people into different stocks. They talk about stocks and FOMO you into stocks. If you're watching on the news, reading an article about it, and there's FOMO in the stock market, it's typically you're at the tail end of the big boom. But now you have this opportunity, and have had this opportunity, to invest in a space before it even gets to the financial institutions, before it even gets to Main Street. Now, the thing is, we don't know which of these projects are going to be successful and which are going to fail. You don't know. But at this point, you look at the top 10, and how many years out this is going to keep going. Unless there's like Polkadot, unless Polkadot closes up shop because it's an absolute failure, Polkadot looks like it's going to stay there. Bitcoin, unless, all the governments of the world decide, hey, let's gang up on Bitcoin mining and shut it down and figure out how to infiltrate into people's homes or into people's warehouses, wherever they set up around the world, and we're going to shut it down. But do governments really want to push the digital assets into the dark? Do they really want to do that? Because right now the cat's out of the bag. I think everybody can acknowledge that fact, that digital assets are here to stay. And if you push digital assets into the dark, now you're really establishing a scenario where digital assets are going to be a direct competitor against sovereign currency. Right now, sovereign currency, meaning of a nation, can work on it in its capacity, and then the digital asset space can work in tandem. That's because, if the governments allow that embracing of, but as soon as they push it into the shadows, you push digital asset into the darkness, not only are you crushing opportunity for people all over the world, but you're also now creating a scenario where people are going to wake up and say, hey, oppressive government regime, we're no longer going to work with your sovereign currency because it's oppressive. We're only going to work and live within this digital space that's behind the scenes. Now, if you're talking about government entities that are concerned about digital asset being used for nefarious purpose, as soon as you push it and you try to over-regulate, being overzealous through through misinformation or lack of education, naivete, whatever you want to call it, or just, again, the overreach of a government. You want to push the digital assets into the shadows. Now you're creating a scenario of revolt from the people. The revolt from the people is where you put your money. And I think we're already seeing that trend. This is why governments, financial institutions, banks, big business, everybody is beginning to embrace the digital asset and not push it away. Now, the FUD, FOMO, whatever you see in the mainstream media, you have to take it just as that, as FUD and FOMO, because the majority of the people in the mainstream media space, as well as government officials, have very little knowledge of the working aspects of digital asset and very little knowledge of what digital asset is. This is why your government officials in the US and all over the world, when they reference some of these digital assets, they always go back to the tried and true FUD conversation of misinformation regarding Bitcoin and other assets being used for nefarious purpose, while avoiding the conversation that fiat currency, paper money, and coins and gold and other things like that have been used for nefarious purposes for eons. Pretty much since the advent of the paper money or the coin money, it's been utilized for nefarious purpose. Plus, they also will tend to ignore the fact that many of the large banks have been caught up and paid billions and billions and billions of dollars in fines because of fraud and deception, as well as many government officials. So, it's not all of a sudden digital asset came about and all of a sudden all those that are in this nefarious purpose mindset started using digital assets. So it's a complete mockery, of our intelligence. So anyhow, those are some thoughts to get started. What do you guys think of that? So what is that? Rain. I can't see it. Oh, I see a little static on my screen. It might be one of my lights. Oh, that's what it is. It's just static over there. So one of my lights over here is pointed up and it's creating a little bit of static. Who brought that one up? There you go. JM. Yes, there's a little bit of static. It isn't rain, just a little bit of light static that I didn't notice until you brought that up, but I see it now. All right. Sip some coffee. Take a breath. Thank you. I think I might. All right. So where do we go from here? All right, let me look at this. I do have a comment that I wanted to review as well, but hang on. Ferdy, Jeff, Chip. Looking for Chip. Where's Chip? What do you think happens when the judge throws the allegations versus Brad and Chris out this coming Monday? I think, Ferdy, that's a major step, towards moving things in a positive direction. Let's put it that way. Now, from the SEC's perspective, I'm not an attorney. I'm just looking and analyzing this. But when they put together this case, a federal case, and a good friend of mine, attorney, I was asking him the difference between a federal case versus just a standard case. In a federal case, you can put a ton of fluff information. Basically, they pile whatever they want into it. I'm not saying that always happens, but it's more, let's call it, permissible. And so in this scenario, there was, in our opinion, and the way we looked at it and talking to Deaton, there was a lot of fluff that was not relevant to the case at hand. However, the SEC, by bringing these, the individuals, Brad and Chris, into it, they were insinuating certain things without coming out and saying it. And it was more of a character assassination to try and build the rest of their case. The rest of their case is that they sold an unregistered security 7-8 years ago. Then they singled them out individually, trying to look at, oh, well, what did you spend your money on? What kind of car did you buy? What kind of house did you buy? What kind of vacation did you take? How is that now relevant? We know they're making money. It's not relevant to the fact that of 7-8 years ago, Ripple, the company, was selling an unregistered security. That's their claim. Now you're trying to make insinuations of fraud and deception. And to me, you pull that out of the case. Now you're very, very clear and concise about what the case is about. And that's all it ever should have been about is, was Ripple selling an unregistered security 7-8 years ago? That's the claim by the SEC against Ripple. Take out Brad, take out Chris. They never even brought up Jed to the case. So that's why now you can remove all that, irrelevancy or whatever. So now you look at it and you say, okay, now it's very, very clear. And now you can have a very clear outcome as well. You want to have a case against Brad and Chris, bring that separately. You want to declare that they somehow committed fraud, then that is a specific case against them individually. Remove the individual from the corporate suit. And I don't know. Again, I'm not in courts. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just looking at it, just from my perspective, but from a logical perspective. If you're going to bring a case, focus on the company. Now remove these two. You could have a separate case against them. So I believe that's a big part of it. Remove them out of it. Drop the allegations against them. Focus on Ripple 7-8 years ago, potentially selling XRP as an unregistered security. If they did, if the outcome was that they did, then can you look back at case precedent that was set when they went after Kick for the Kin token? And if you look at that one, the outcome was, yes, it was an unregistered security when they sold it. Now you're paying a $5 million fine, but retail, oh, by the way, the SEC made no claim on how retail should respond or act, meaning that retail could, in theory, continue to sell the Kin token without it being declared or labeled as an unregistered security. But I believe at this point you can get a lot more clarity. Again, this is more of a an answer for for an attorney. John Dean would be able to really clarify that idea. But I'm from my opinion, it makes a heck of a lot more sense. Now you can look at it from an observational perspective, that if the SEC really wants to have some form of an outcome, then focus on the reality. Focus on what you're after, which is, did Ripple sell an unregistered security or not? That's it. End of story. That's what you need. The judge, from the judge's perspective, that's all they want to see too, in my opinion. Why would they want to see all this other stuff to do with Brad and Chris if you're not coming out and claiming that they committed fraud? Don't insinuate it by trying to dig through their finances when you're not making a direct statement of that. So remove it out, focus on reality. And then from that perspective, from that point, the outcome can be very clear. It can be, whatever they want, and it just makes more sense. Now, then the big question is going to be whether or not they did in fact sell an unregistered security, and how does that impact the rest of the world? I don't know that it is, because right now, again, we see a separation of XRP from the stigma of this case. And we're mentioning that. I think that's very, very significant to see that XRP is now sitting at $1.16. Some are saying $1.19, $1.18. I'm looking on CoinGecko. But that to me is significant. Now, the outcome of this case is fundamentally significant to the entire cryptocurrency space, because this isn't a case of the SEC against Ripple. This is a case of the SEC against all digital assets, because the negative outcome of this case could be extremely, extremely detrimental to pretty much every other cryptocurrency project in existence. So I think that is, very, very, important. So let me remember this one. Sip some coffee, take a breath. That's hilarious. Hey, Chip, that's a good coffee. Sip some coffee, take a breath. Crypto on the chain. So I like Michael Otto over here too. Crypto is going to pump this weekend because of Coinbase. And the Coinbase IPO, it's not really an IPO per se. It's a direct listing, but yeah, I get it. So, but their direct listing, I think this is extremely, extremely significant. One of the largest exchange, I don't know, one of the largest or the largest, the most recognized, the most identified exchange in the United States, Coinbase, with, really a footprint all over the world, to where people can use Coinbase and Coinbase Pro, going to a direct listing, getting a valuation of over $400. We're going to see. Time will tell on the 14th. Today is the 10th, 11, 12, 34. What would be Wednesday? I had to count that out. Wednesday is the direct listing. So we don't know. Is it gonna appear at 9:30 a.m.? Is it gonna be 11? Is it gonna be noon? Is it gonna be 1? It's gonna go live at some point on Wednesday. That will be exciting for the crypto space, for the digital asset space, because it gives even more recognition to this space as being legitimate. Anything that legitimizes the digital asset crypto space is a net positive. I don't care what anyone thinks about Coinbase as an exchange. If you had issue, didn't have issue, the fact that they're going to a direct listing also solidifies their position for many, many years to come. You're not going to go through this, the entire process with the SEC approvals if Coinbase and the digital asset space are going to be, basically made illegal, in a period of time by the government, or overtaxed or overburdened. That is bringing it to this space like this is more of a normalization of the digital asset space, of the crypto space. And it's very, very significant, so that it's very, very meaningful to me, in my opinion, so whether or not you invest in coin or don't invest in coin, obviously that is your own personal decision. However you decide to do it, are you going to go? And it is Coin, COIN, Coinbase. If you go on, $1.18, that's where XRP is right now, by the way. So if you want to invest in it, I know it's going to open. The private trading will probably start early on the 14th. It's going to push it from 195 to 400. It might open at 400. It might open at 300. It might open at 500 when trading is finally available. But that's where Coinbase stock is going to be. And again, like I was saying, and reflecting on that, it's going to be really, really impressive. So, all right, hang on a second. Let me open this. This was, hang on. There we go. I had so much stuff open. How can I get this image? Whoops. Okay. How come it won't let me open this? Let me see how I can move this over. There we go. Not sure. There we go. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Here we go. Shoot. Slow down. There we go. Let me go back. Got a bunch of tabs open here. Let's bring this up. I don't want to remove it. Oh, I have it up. Okay. So check this out. So this is from Craig Constable. He didn't post it 12 minutes ago. This is when I captured it 12, at the time. Obviously, it's a screenshot. But Swift, 1.2 quadrillion per year, but only 5 days a week and slower transaction speed. How much more can XRP do yearly? Open 115 more days, 24/7, and faster transaction speeds. Then XRP will go after the derivatives market also. I think it was a really solid comment that he brought up there. Swift, old, slow. It's not functioning 24/7. The stock market doesn't function 24/7. The stock market doesn't run 7 days a week. So even from a stock perspective, when we look at the stock market and you look at the digital asset markets 24/7, availability to the entire world. So right now, if you're in who knows what part of the world and you wanted to buy coin, are you able to buy the coin stock if you're in England? I don't know. I don't know if you have direct access to it, but that's interesting. So anyhow, but this is really significant. I believe that, from that perspective, if you're going to be able to trade more, or you're going to have more transactions, faster transactions, immediate settlement, you're moving money on a regular basis for fractions of a penny. It's significant, very, very significant. People realize that, people are going to realize that Swift is the old way and things are moving forward. So What's this? Don't forget to charge your phone. Chip may need to call you later. Oh, that was, yeah, 15%. Oh, that's hilarious. I wasn't even looking at that. But yeah, that was 15%. That wasn't now. That was that. That's funny. That's really funny. Jeff, closing all the rated R and N17 tabs. Yeah, we got to shut them all. We got to shut all of them down. That's what we got to do. That's a starting point. All right, let's see. Hodl the Auto is saying that XRP is 123 on live coin watch. Buck 50 is in its future. Let's go. It's definitely there. We're in trouble. Hey, we're in trouble. I don't know how that I drank that whole thing that quick. Okay, so I like this. Dwayne, we are on the very cusp of the new beginning of the financial world. I have to agree with you 100%. We're moving in a direction that is now going to fundamentally change everything. Everything. There's nothing that is going to remain static. The brick and mortar of the old days. I got to give somebody a quick shout out here. Alex D, what is going on? Man, it's awesome to see you on. Man, I wish you the speediest of recoveries. And actually, I did want to, I'm so glad that you're on right now. And I need to pull this up. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can pull this off. But I do want to put something up. So if you guys don't know, but Alex was in the hospital, and he did have a message, for us here that he had posted up. And I do want to play this. It's a little bit long, but I want to play a snippet of this if I can. Hang on, I'm gonna have to stop sharing my screen. I'm gonna have to reshare it this time with some volume. Let me pick that tab. All right, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Hang on a second. Hang on a minute. Let me see. Add that to the stream. Here we go. Let me just play this just real quick.
Good evening, XRP family. It's your boy, Alex, D-Vlogs. What's good? It is April 9th, 2021, Friday, last day of the week, right before the weekend, pretty much the weekend already. XRP sitting at $1.05, BTC 58.3K. It's funny, now with everything, now with XRP moving to higher and higher prices, are you now the main coin guy that everybody should be calling and discussing how to buy XRP? Like in my family, I used to be called the funny coin guy. That's the guy with all the coins. What's he gonna do with all these coins that he has? He's like gonna juggle them up in the air and hope they make money. And now I'm the main guy that I need to contact in order to make money. I'm getting people, my friends asking me how to buy XRP, and my wife is into XRP now. She's promoting it because her cousin said I'd rather be buying.
All right. So, man, Alex, definitely wish you the best. I had some other statement. I saw this video you posted yesterday. He had posted another video. He had an issue with a stomach issue. But man, Alex, we definitely wish you all the best, the speediest of recoveries. You're outstanding, Alex, and we want to see you back on your feet and back making some videos here. I know it's a little bit hard to hear. Hopefully you guys heard a little bit of that, but man, really appreciate you. Alex, Jeff is a pro. Chip is great too. On the chain for real, XRP for life, man. Alex, appreciate that. And it was real, breaking. I was watching some of your other videos, and you had a tube that was, through your nose down into your stomach, and still making videos. So all the prayers and power to you, Alex. So, all right, let's go back here. Oh, look at that. I'm freezing up a little bit. There we go. All right. So we were in this conversation, and I want to bring some of these points up. So I think it's very relevant. We're starting to look at the movement of whether it's DeFi, it's the institutional investors, it's the corporate investors, whatever it might be. So let's pull this up here. Let me add this to the stream. Here we go. So there was a number of interesting articles that we're gonna go through real quick, and this is one of them. So DeFi money markets are finally luring in institutional investors. So the movement of the space, right? So we're seeing XRP at $1.18. We're seeing Bitcoin at over 60,000. You're seeing Binance, Ethereum, all these other assets are moving. But DeFi, the money is really the idea behind decentralized finance is just moving and attracting these bigger financial institutions. The bigger players are moving into this space at a rapid clip right now. And it's very, very meaningful. It's very meaningful to see this, because it's not just, hey, let's go to the Bitcoin. It's everything. So they're looking at it right now. You have a market cap. What's the total market cap right now? Does it say? Total market cap is $2.1 trillion. Bitcoin is 1.1 trillion. So all the rest of the assets are 1 trillion. Bitcoin on its own, 1.1. So you have 2.1 trillion. The last 24 hours, you have $214 billion in volume being moved in the last 24 hours. You're seeing a lot of movement. A lot of money is flowing through the digital asset space, and yet it's just this tiny little fraction. You have quadrillions of dollars that are moved across border through SWIFT, moving all over the place in the investment space. You have you think about the valuation of certain companies. So Apple, I think, is valued at around 1 to 2 trillion. I forget exactly what it is. So the market cap of the digital asset space is now on par with an Apple. Apple, think about how long it's been around. But this is a market. These are multiple companies that are growing exponentially fast. So if Bitcoin is going to go, like we were talking about the other day, is going to go to 400,000, let's say, that puts Bitcoin at 6.8 trillion on its own. If Bitcoin goes to 400,000, where is everything else going to be? It's not going to stay static. Everything is going to keep moving up. Does XRP come into play where it goes back into the top three? What is it going to take for XRP to displace Binance Coin? If it goes to $5, if Binance Coin keeps going up, how much further up does XRP have to do to go into the number 3 spot or back into the number 2 spot to displace Ethereum? It is possible just based on market movement. All the market cap conversations are relatively irrelevant when people say, well, XRP can never have that market cap. Well, Bitcoin, you could also say that Bitcoin can never have a $6.8 trillion market cap, yet there's big analysts out there from Morgan Stanley and others and JP Morgan that are talking about Bitcoin over 100,000. Like I said, the one from Morgan Stanley at 400,000. Others are talking about $1 million. So if you have a $400,000 Bitcoin and a $6.8 trillion market cap, that's 6 times its current market cap. That's massive. Those are massive numbers. So, but what is pushing all of this forward is this momentum that's being created right now in the financial institution space, in the corporate space. So there you go. Look at this in this article. It says it's $2 trillion, worth as much as Apple right now. It's going to blow Apple, and all the brick and mortars are going to be a thing of the past in terms of valuation. It just is. So the United States Federal Reserve 2% inflation target has incited concern in investors fearing devaluation. And with tensions I got a line through that. That's hilarious. With tensions between, what is a Tennyson? With tensions between the U.S. and China and our precarious edge, portfolios denominated in U.S. dollars are becoming riskier by the day because of this economic conflict with China and the U.S. Because China is trying with their digital yuan, they are trying to really determine and dictate the direction of the economies in Asia and elsewhere. They do believe, China believes, that they can displace the US dollar as a reserve currency with the digital yuan, because a digital yuan will be faster and more streamlined than a fiat dollar but if you go back to the geopolitics of it, who in their right mind is going to want to trade in a completely manipulated currency, which is the yuan? It makes no sense. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows it makes no sense. And you're not going to allow a communist regime, whether it's fiat or whether it's digital, to manipulate and determine the direction of the world's economy. It makes no sense. But they're trying to do it through force and might and presence. Now, China is so far ahead of where the US is right now in their digital economy space. They are one step ahead. They think they can do it. But just like many of the other products that are manufactured over in China, there's only a handful, you can count them on one hand, that are quality. The rest of them are subpar products that have stolen copyright and trademarks and everything else in order to manufacture their products, and they're reverse engineered, and they stole the R&D without any R&D, and now they're trying to build from that point. That's a reality. That's exactly what is happening. Everybody knows it, but there are a handful of companies over in China that have world-class products being manufactured because they're backed up by solid R&D. Now, those companies are joining the world markets by storm because they are very, very high quality, and they're doing a phenomenal job. Alibaba is one of them. Alibaba is one of those that was, based on something in the US. They didn't take the entire concept and reverse engineer it, but they did, jump off of that idea, and they created an amazing domestic Chinese product that is now global in recognition, global in availability through Alibaba. They did a great job with that. And now the government is sitting on the board. But, kudos to them. Then you have a company in China with electric cars called NIO. NIO has their own R&D, and they're trying to beat Tesla at their own game. Now, NIO is supposedly a phenomenal electric vehicle, and they're doing outstanding things with the technology of how to replace batteries with NIO. There's a lot of other companies out there that are trying to make the components in electric vehicles in China that are all reverse engineered product that you wouldn't want to get into. And then there's medical products, and there's electronic consumer goods that are manufactured in China that are world-class, where all the others aren't. So when you know that, then you have to have a little bit of a concern about how the potential financial structure would be manipulated by the government as well. It's just a reality. You have to worry about that. So DeFi versus the world. To hedge against currency risk, institutions have started using Bitcoin, and retail investors are following their lead. I would say we had the early adopters. So what are they leaving out? They're leaving out early adopters. So early adopters got into the digital asset space 10, 11 years ago. So over the past 10, 11 years, the early adopters have identified and understood the fact that the digital asset space is very, very significant. I'm trying to find my cursor. There it is. So the digital asset space is significant. And then from there, you see this newer development, this newer trend, which are financial institutions. Where is it? Here we go. So institutions, they're using the Bitcoin, right? So Michael Saylor, Elon Musk, and others, they're using the Bitcoin, they're investing in the Bitcoin. Retail investors, all those that have been sitting on the sidelines over the past 10, 11 years, watching this space develop, not understanding it, and we talked about this earlier, are now seeing the legitimacy of this space and are following the financial institutions. So more than 60% of Bitcoin circulating supply hasn't moved since 2018. I don't know if that's true. Somebody out there can fact check that. But BTC is predicted to push well above 100,000 in the next 24 months. But now we see people, they're saying end of year, over 100,000 end of year, 400,000 end of year. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Maybe it'll be 100,000, maybe it'll be 80,000, maybe it'll be 50,000 end of year. Maybe it'll be 300,000. I don't know where it's going. We have all these analysts, a lot of ideas out there, but it's interesting. It's really interesting, you know? So okay, so let's go down. XRP is going up. We got to keep talking because we're influencing the XRP. All right, let me pull another one in here that I think is going to add, a little bit more relevancy to this. Now, this article showed up on Financial Times, and this one I think is interesting. Yeah, if you guys don't know what a SPAC is, the SEC and all the big players are now coming out against the SPACs. SPACs were kind of a way to circumvent the IPO process a little bit, but there's a lot of SPACs, and it's really interesting. But I thought the title of this article was "Blockchain May Change Equities Trading for Good." And I got to get to the whole risk one. There was this great article on the risk. We'll get there. This is significant here because we're talking about Swift, right? We know Swift, quadrillions of dollars moved along Swift every single year. We know Swift has dominated the way money is moved around the world. We know it's antiquated. We know it's got to go away. We know it has to be replaced by like a Ripple and the XRP Ledger and others. But imagine in equity trading. Equity trading takes days to settle, 2-3 days for settlement on a trade. So imagine you go and you buy a stock. You don't actually own that stock. It still takes 2 or 3 days for a complete settlement. But your trade platform is actually crediting you those shares because all the other stuff is going on behind the scenes. So from your perspective as a retail, it looks like instant settlement. But if you start working on margin calls and all of that and options, you can still lose out based on the settlement timelines. So now one of the things that we've all seen and we know is that within blockchain, within digital asset, now I think they need to take this a step further. I think this person is a little bit wrong in their assessment that these platforms are going to use blockchain without the digital asset. The digital asset is what's key within the settlement process. The blockchain can help facilitate the settlement, but it's the digital asset, the cheap movement of the money, of the trade, of the offset that will help actually resolve immediate settlement. So this is what this author of this article brought up. But Credit Suisse cut some U.S. equity trades with Nomura-owned broker Instinet using blockchain. Yeah, so it was interesting because they settled in hours. Now, again, if they're using digital asset, imagine you're doing on the XRP Ledger, you can get instant settlement, instant, not hours. Right now it's days, but you can move from days to hours to instant within the even in the equities markets. So here they said, Credit Suisse and Instinet have dealt directly with each other by recording the trades on a shared digital ledger. It's much faster, but it's not instant. So they still need more. It was just a small pilot, meaning the innovation was tolerated but not formally approved, whatever. So Paxos is the company that's helping facilitate. Now, Paxos is applying for a permanent SEC license to compete with the DTCC. Now, the DTCC is, let's get an exact definition of what that is because it's here. I don't want to mess this up, but it's the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. And that's what settles the trade of equities. So this is important because now they want to compete. Paxos wants to compete directly with the DTCC, which has been in business for decades. It's kind of like Swift for equities. Now, imagine when you're trying to offset Swift, imagine the hurdles that are overcoming when you go against something that's been around since the early 70s, and now you're trying to displace Swift. Imagine you're trying to displace DTCC, which handles $2,150 trillion worth of trades in just last year. But here it says the deal is a reminder that there's more to blockchain than cryptocurrency. I disagree, but I agree. But you don't want to remove the crypto from the blockchain, from the equity space. It's all tied in. And but they're right. There is a lot more. It's not just about the crypto. It's about the blockchain, what you can actually do. If the settlement process doesn't embrace blockchain, it may have wide implications. Regulators have granted the DTCC an effective monopoly for 4 decades. Imagine, like, SWIFT has a monopoly, the DTCC has a monopoly. It's outdated. It's brick and mortar. It needs to go away. The status quo, this author says, spot on. The status quo looks increasingly anachronistic. Settlement takes days instead of hours, and it shouldn't even be hours. It should be instant. So I think she's missing the point a little bit. Using blockchain, by contrast, may reduce the need to post the collateral required to protect against risks while the trade settles. It's amazing, right? But Paxos likes to present itself as a plucky financial David versus Goliath, whatever, but they want to take on the DTCC. I think that's important. Crypto enthusiasts also carp that incumbents have little incentive to innovate rapidly, given they can so brick and mortar make a shit ton of money in fees. That's a reality, right? They make a lot of money. That's where they make it in the slow settlement. You get rid of the DTCC, they lose all their money. So they're going to fight back, just like Swift makes their money. They're making their number. Every time you move money cross border, you think they're going to just say, hey, that's okay, Ripple. Why don't you take my business? They're not going to do it. It's just not reality. So that's it. So here's let me pull up. So Paxos has gold. So Pax Gold, the safest way to own gold. Let's see here. You've got, Pax tokens, you got Paxos, Pax Gold, BUSD. So you've got the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. You can access leading cryptocurrencies. They have power tokens, the Paxos power tokens like Pax, Binance USD, HUSD, Pax Gold, etc. So Paxos is definitely a player in this space, and Paxos wants to take on the BTCC, which is Ripple taking on Swift. Paxos will be singled out eventually at some point because the BTCC is not going to go down, or the DTCC, the depository trust, is not going to go down easily. That's just how it is, So calm down. You got to take a breather. You're right. I do. Let's relax. Take a breath, take a step back, take some coffee. So anyhow, I know I get fired up, maybe talk a little bit too loudly, a little too fast. Yeah, we got to slow it down a little bit. You're right. Let's slow it down. I got to focus on that. It's a good point. Really good point. It's legitimate point. So let me go here. So this is also really key. Now, one of the things we talk about is the expansion of the blockchain, of the digital asset space, bringing opportunity around the world. Now, Nigeria's SEC is warning, they're issuing a warning to investment platforms to stop trading unregistered foreign securities. Now, are they singling out digital assets? What are they looking at? Are they looking at, others? So look, Robinhood-esque platforms like Bamboo, Trove, Chalk, and Rise have sprung forth in the Nigerian fintech space. They offer Nigerians access to stocks, bonds, and other securities in both local and international markets. That is so critical. It's so amazing that can happen. And what does the SEC say? Nope, shut it down. We don't want our people to have these types of opportunities. This is what's problematic. So you go to a place like Nigeria, the people there want to have big opportunities. So you have the big opportunities, and the Nigerian SEC is trying to shut it down. That's extremely, extremely negative. But here's what's critical is that Nigeria is becoming Africa's unofficial tech capital. I don't want to say unofficial because they're not acknowledging, and this is an old article, I know, but it's important because not only had it become a year ago, this is a year-old article, but we go forward, and Nigeria has done a tremendous amount in this space, a tremendous amount. You see a lot of fintechs, a lot of digital asset, a lot of embracing of the new technologies in Africa. Why? Because the brick and mortars are relatively limited in who can make money and develop and grow. And so now you take a place like Nigeria, and they look at the digital asset space and the fintech space, and people are like, oh my God, I can build a company. I can build an economic powerhouse in Africa, in Nigeria. And these people are doing an amazing job, and it's outstanding. So this is where you're starting to see money really being transferred. The value of money, the opportunity of money is being transferred over to others that can make some, huge amounts of money and make an impact on this space. Now, if you want to be able to make an impact on this space, man, to me, it's super, super meaningful. It really is meaningful that you see this, and it's meaningful that the SEC is trying to shut it down. They don't want their people to invest in product that maybe they're not allowing them to invest in. I get it somewhat, but give your people an opportunity to make money and better their lives. That's what this is all about. This is a revolution. It's an evolution. It's a revolution. Digital asset is the revolution, is the newest asset class that is bringing more money to the people than ever before, ever. So you talk about unbanked. Well, they're unbanked for a purpose, but they also aren't participating in the regular flow of the economy. The digital asset space is giving people an opportunity to build companies and participate in the economy, whether it's global or regional, because for the most part, technical development was always in San Francisco. You go to the snobs in San Francisco, who gives a crap about San Francisco anymore? Just because that's where the .com boom was, who gives a crap? It doesn't, they're irrelevant. You can see how irrelevant they are, because all of this type of development can exist without them. Outside, you can go to some place in Nigeria and they could build one of the best companies ever in existence in the world. I don't know, maybe it's been built. I don't know, it could be out there, but you don't need to be in San Francisco to make it happen. And that's very, very important. That you take away the power from those who, think that they're the gods, that they're the rulers of this technical space when they're not. And that's it, So, Deuce, you can ask a question. Go ahead. Go ahead and ask a question. But we're running. Here we go. Okay, let me bring this one up over here. This one's important. U.S. spy agencies warn of threats from digital currency to AI. I love this. I love this idea that they posted this here. But the U.S. intelligence community predicts an increasingly leaderless and unstable world in the coming decades as trends such as AI, digital currencies, and climate change reshape the global arena. I think this is a little bit of a misleading article, but hey, let them think that. It's a little bit of FUD. It's a little bit of a scare tactic. Can AI have an impact in the space? Yes. Are the big companies doing something to make some changes here? Then hey, that's awesome. But here's the key. Is that it's scare tactic. Why do they have to bring climate change into it? Why is that relevant with AI and digital currency? How is that going to create an unstable, leaderless world? We see a leaderless world mainly because of the inefficiencies of the leaders. Maybe you have weak leaders that are weak-minded and, and just aren't, influencing their space the right way. Or you have people like the U.S. Congress that are bumping into themselves, or the SEC that's running around with their shoes tied to a chair or tied together because they can't make the right decisions. So here you have the coming decade will be characterized by a mismatch between global challenges, the ability of institutions and systems to respond. There's already a mismatch in global challenges. That's just the reality. The result will be greater contestation at every level. Oh, okay. That never existed before. We never had that kind of issue. We didn't go through a Cold War in the 80s and prior between the US and the Soviet Union. That didn't exist. Nope, let's just ignore that fact. And now it's US and China. Who cares? In the late 80s, when I was in or early 90s, when I was in undergrad and I was studying economics, and I can remember studying the economies of Japan and the tensions in the steel industry between Japan and the U.S. They said, "Oh, Japan, they're buying up all of our properties and they're dominating our steel industry." A lot of what I learned in my econ classes in undergrad came to fruition, which is pretty pretty astonishing. That people knew, but yet allowed certain things to happen. But there are always tensions. Where's Japan today? Did we lose out? Now it's China. It's cyclical. Things come and go. Technologies develop. Things change. It's a reality. The world doesn't stay static, like they would like you to believe. So what? So what? But you have to understand it. You have to understand why there's going to be a tension between the U.S. and China. That doesn't mean that, that it's going to be a negative implication. It could be very well so. National governments will have reduced flexibility, and they are. So this is more of a threat. This is a dynamic that individuals are allowing their freedoms to be squashed because governments are going to reduce their flexibility. That term, reduced flexibility, is another terminology for allowing your freedoms to be taken away and allow governments to act in a certain way because you're afraid of some future threat. Deuces, can you just stop talking about this synthetics? I don't know anything about it. That's great. It can make you rich. I don't know. I have no idea. But stop posting this constant question about synthetic. I don't even know what it is. I'll look into it and maybe we'll talk about it on another show, but I don't know what that is. So anyhow. So you have debt pressures. Okay, great. The US dollar and the euro will face threats from digital currencies such as Bitcoin. Hey, you know what? Challenge accepted. Privately issued digital currencies could add complexity to the conduct of monetary policy by reducing countries' control over their exchange rates and money supply. You know what? That's your own fault. Whose fault is it? Don't keep just printing money out of control. Why don't you embrace it? This is what I was talking about earlier. There's an embracing of this space by the big financial institutions and the banks because they understand the direction we're going in. Countries are going to have sovereign currency. This is going to be, it's just a reality. There's going to be a challenge. It's a new dynamic. It's a new fundamental that we have to worry about, that we have to deal with. We don't want governments to overregulate. I'm not afraid of, Bitcoin, privately issued digital currencies. I'm not afraid of it. Are the sovereign entities, maybe they're afraid at this point? A, they don't understand it. B, they don't want the competition and they want to stifle development. That's it. Let's acknowledge it. Climate change. Okay, the climate's been changing for millions of years. What are you going to do? This is just nonsense. It will worsen water insecurity as well as increase pressure for migration. Great. Tell China to stop polluting then. I don't know what they want. What do you want to do? No single state will be able to dominate all regions or domains. Yes, that's true. It's 100% true. There's more competition. That's okay. Competition is good. The Asian superpower look to assert dominance in Asia. Yes, they are, and they're doing it through threat and coercion. That's a reality. AI will enhance the performance of existing weapons. Yes, that's true. Space race, true. The U.S. will be U.S. most formidable rival in space. Possibly, yes. We already see that they're taking a dominant presence in space. More competition. Hey, you know what? If they want to do it for good, that's awesome. You want to do it for bad? Not so awesome. But hey, let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's figure it out. The proliferation of digital tech and advances in AI will open the door for both state and non-state actors to influence population. We have already seen that. It's not like it's going to happen. we've already seen that AI is influencing how things are accepted on YouTube or elsewhere. So I think it's interesting. I really think that was interesting. That came on Yahoo Finance, written by this guy. It's an opinion piece, but yeah. Anyhow, I thought it was interesting. It was interesting to review because this is what's going on in this space right now. So hey, before with everybody here, I know we're over 300 now. We're under 300, but if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, sub to the channel. If you sub to the channel, make sure you hit the bell notifier, because if you hit the bell notifier, then you will be notified every time we go live. If you hit subscribe, then you also potentially be notified, every time we go live. But you really need to hit that bell notification because that's the most important. So anyhow, let's see here. Okay, let's go. Hang on. I wanted to do one last thing. Want to look at the CoinGecko here. Let's see, CoinGecko. There you go. There you go. We started. It was $1.15. Now XRP's up. You guys can't see it. I'm enjoying all of it on my own, and you guys aren't seeing it. It's up 100% in the past 7 days. There you go. $1.21 on the XRP, BNB at 477, Ethereum going up 2146, BTC over 60,000. But the most exciting one right here, right now, is XRP with 100% in the past 7 days. Hey, by the way, we do stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Saturday morning at 8 Eastern Standard Time. So tune in tomorrow night. Chip and I will be co-hosting again, because we co-host Sunday through Thursday. Tomorrow is the roundtable. We will also be announcing a couple things. We do have another virtual meetup that we're going to be scheduling, hopefully by the end of the month. We are also going to talk a little bit more about the merch store. Once we get some of the merchandise samples, then we'll launch the merch store. There's some cool stuff there. And then we will also be adding a join segment to YouTube. A lot of people say, hey, how do we support you guys? We wanted to support in a nicer way, so it's more engaging for the community. So in that join segment, one of the join segments will allow you to get custom icons, custom emoticons. And then also there's another segment in the join, which we will be doing an exclusive roundtable for those that join. And part of that exclusive roundtable will be educational in nature. We'll be doing that once a month. And so the roundtable will most likely coincide when we do the virtual meetups. And so we're developing that, and we're looking at really involving more educational things as we progress. So there's a ton going on, but you guys are awesome. Appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate everything being our sole Twitch viewer. Actually, we have on Twitch right now, we've got one. That's it. One person on Twitch. So thank you for occupying the Twitch space. You are outstanding. And so let's see. Jed. Okay. So anyhow, you guys are awesome. I'll check you guys back here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the roundtable. And a big shout out to Alex D Vlog. Get well soon. Appreciate you. Check you guys out on the next one. I'm out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.